Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. There are no traffic jams along the Extra Mile when you're studying for your bar exam. And now, your host, Jackson Mummy, owner of the Celebration Bar Review.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. This is your host, Jackson Mummy. I'm so glad that you're with us for episode 181. Wow. It's amazing to me as we're heading towards the February 2018 bar exams and the imminent arrival sometime this year of episode 200. That is pretty surprising. If this is your first time with us on the podcast, we're glad to have you with us. We come to you every week on Wednesdays and talking about all things bar exam related. Now, you can acquire previous episodes of the Extra Mile by going to iTunes or iHeartRadio or Spotify, or by going to our website at celebrationbarreview.com and clicking on the podcast button, and you'll find all of our episodes back to the very first ones, along with show notes right there. As we do our podcasts these days, we do them in all of those methods that I just mentioned for audio, but we also have a video version of the podcast, and you can access that by going to our website, again, celebrationbarreview.com/181 for today's episode. So again, /181, and you can pick up today's episode. If you want to go back and check out earlier episodes, just put in the episode number in that URL, and you'll be able to watch the video and have all the links and show notes that way. So no matter how you're consuming the content, we're glad you're with us, and we so appreciate all of you who recommend this podcast to your friends. We know that you have a limited amount of time and a limited amount of bandwidth as it is, and so I'm very appreciative that our podcast continues to grow in size and I think in impact and the people that we're able to assist. Today, we are in part 3 of a 4-part series on bar study tools. We began back in episode 179 by looking at PhotoReading, which is an outside product that we really endorse and feel very strongly about. It's a great way to improve your reading speed and comprehension. If you're not familiar with PhotoReading, I encourage you to get and go through that podcast episode. It's 179. Last week in episode 180, we looked at a second tool that we call Mind Maps. And you've probably heard of Mind Maps, but what we talked about in episode 180 was how to use Mind Maps on the bar exam specifically, how to integrate it if you are a photo reader, and how to really get the most value out of the way that you interact with the material you read and study. I went back and listened to that discussion of Mind Maps, and I got to tell you, I really liked it. I thought it was pretty valuable stuff. So if you're at all interested in the idea of better note-taking, definitely check out episode 180. I think it would be well worth it. Today, in this episode, we're going to be looking at the third of our 4 tools that's called Paraliminals. That's an unusual word, paraliminal, and we're going to talk about what they are and how they work and why you want to use them for bar study and give you some examples. And so I hope you'll stick around for that discussion. I think it'll be really useful. And then we'll wrap up next week with our 4th tool. We're going to look at meditation, particularly binaural beats. So we've definitely got some interesting things to talk about here, and hope you'll stick around for these conversations and check out what we've got to say about paraliminals. Before we jump into that particular message, however, I do want to remind everyone that we have a special free live webinar coming up on Thursday night, January 15th, and again on Monday, January 22nd. The webinar is titled How to Make the Next Bar Exam Your Last Bar Exam. This is a look at the powerful, proven way to pass. We're going to take you through 4 steps that successful students follow in order to pass their bar exam. We're going to share case studies with you of people that took the bar as many as 20 times before they passed. Once they got these tools, they were able to be successful. And we're going to show you step by step what you need to do. Now, this is a just jam full of information-packed webinar, very, very valuable, and thousands of people have been through it. However, it's totally free. And all you have to do is register in advance, and you can do that in one of a couple of ways. If you're here on the video podcast, just scroll down to the bottom of the page and you can click on the link for the webinar. And if you're listening to the audio podcast, just go to our website at celebrationbarreview.com, click on the button at the top of the page to claim your free seat, and you'll be good to go. Now, this webinar starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That would be 4 p.m. Pacific Time, and we encourage you to participate and to jump into that. If those times, Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, don't work for you, you will also see an option to schedule an on-demand showing of the webinar. It's the same information, same great offers. The only difference is obviously we're not there to answer your questions live, but everything else is the same, and I really encourage you to check this out. It's information that you should absolutely be aware of as you're going into your bar exams in 2018. So I hope you'll join us on Thursday the 15th or Monday the 22nd, 7 p.m. Eastern, how to make the next bar exam your last bar exam. All right, well, I want to get into this discussion of Paraliminals. I'm so excited. I love this topic and I love this product. I use Paraliminals myself every day, multiple times a day. So the first obvious question that I suspect many of you are wondering is, what is a paraliminal? Well, first of all, let me spell it for you because it's kind of a weird word. It's para, P-A-R-A, liminal, L-I-M-I-N-A-L. And just as it sounds, what we're talking about is paraliminals are audio soundtracks. They are designed to give a response into both hemispheres of the brain. Now, Paraliminal recordings were created by Learning Strategies, the same people that do photo reading, and we've worked very closely with Learning Strategies on these Paraliminals, and we're very excited about them. I'm going to tell you more in a moment about some specific ones that we've done for the bar exam. But I want to explain what a paraliminal is, and to do that, I thought I would use the description that actually came from Learning Strategies. They're really great at being able to explain this stuff, probably better than I can. Basically what happens is it's a digital audio recording. You put it on and then you slap on your headphones or your earbuds, and you'll hear one voice speaking to one part of your brain and another voice in the other ear speaks to a different part of the brain. The way that this works essentially is that your right your right ear is actually getting the message for the left hemisphere, and then the left ear is getting the right hemisphere, and that's how the brain actually processes information and sounds. Paraliminals are unusual, they're pleasurable, and they're very, very effective. Now, one thing to point out about paraliminal recordings is that there are no subliminal messages on these at all. There's no short-term motivational hype built in. You're not going to hear fluffy affirmations or wishful positive statements. Instead, what you're going to hear is the voice typically of Paul Sheely, the founder of Learning Strategies, and perhaps in some of these, one other person who's an expert in their particular field, guiding you and guiding your inner mind to get the results that you want. And really what we're doing is we're getting past your conscious brain into your inner brain or your non-conscious brain to evoke what's called your inner wisdom, just the basic essence of your mind and your life. Paraliminal recordings increase your personal power by activating what's described as your whole mind. That is, not just your conscious mind, but your non-conscious mind. It uses a precise blend of music and words, and each session is carefully scripted by Paul Sheely. Now, Dr. Sheely is a PhD in neurolinguistic programming, whole mind learning, pre-conscious processing, and he's been doing this for over 30 years, and they're really remarkable recordings, and he does a great job with them. In addition, these recordings use holosync audio tones. Remember, I said in episode 182 we're going to talk about meditation. We're actually going to talk about holosync audio meditation, another tool that we use. But the holosync audio tones developed by Centerpoint Research Institute are embedded into these recordings, these paraliminals, so that you are able to enter the ideal brain state for relaxation and learning. You don't have to do anything. You just put on the soundtrack, lie back or sit up and close your eyes, and the recordings typically run anywhere from 10 minutes up to about 30 minutes, so pretty easy to use. They have state-of-the-art digital recording. It gives you what I think of as a very soothing 3D sound. It allows music and voices to project spatially as you're listening to them. But more importantly than the way they sound is the results that you get. And truthfully, nothing gets results like a paraliminal, and I would absolutely agree with that. I think they're amazingly effective. So paraliminals are a series of recordings that you put on, you listen to, and they're all targeted at specific topics or interests or blocks or concerns that you might have. Learning Strategies actually produces, I think, well over 50 different titles in their paraliminal series. If you're using photo reading, you've already come across one of the paraliminals called the Memory Supercharger, and perhaps you've seen their paraliminals or used them or listened to them in other settings or with other programs. But paraliminal recordings by themselves are simply very powerful, focused, short-term tools. There's also something called a reset paraliminal. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes as well. But for right now, I want to talk about just the idea of the full-length regular paraliminal recordings. So that's what they are. You get them, you put them on your digital device, a phone, a pad, a computer. You set up your headphones or your audio buds, and you turn them on. And it's that simple. I love that kind of easiness, don't you? All right. Second thing that I think you probably want to know is, why would you use them for bar study? I mean, what's the purpose? Why are we talking about this sort of weird woo thing, paraliminal recordings, when we're supposed to be talking about the bar exam? And the reason is this, that in my work and experience with thousands of people over 25 plus years, I have learned consistently that bar takers are their own worst enemy. It's not the bar examiners, it's not the system, it's not the test itself. It's that within our own minds, we are just full of negative feelings, negative emotions, bad vibes, lack of confidence, self-doubt. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. I don't even have to go very far down that list, and you've probably already started in that way. I mean, think about how you felt the first year of law school, maybe that first contracts class you took. Not very smart, most of you. Probably felt pretty stupid, at least I know I did. And the reality is that we carry a lot of negative baggage with us. And when it comes to the bar exam is not just testing how much law you know, but it's testing how you use it. And in order to use that law effectively, no matter whether we're talking about an essay or a performance test or a multi-state multiple choice question, you've got to be operating at your optimum. You've got to be operating clearly and focused and on top of your game. And if you're not doing that, you're going to have a problem. If you're fatigued, if you're caffeinated out, if you are hyperactive, if you've lost attention, if you are stressed beyond belief, that can't be good. And it's not going to be a good result on the bar. So, do you start taking care of those things the week before the exam or the day before the exam? No, you start earlier and you work through whatever those items might be. Now, there are three basic uses for paraliminals, in my view, that really apply to the bar exam. The first of them is that I use paraliminals to remove blocks. There are things that are blocks in my life and things that are blocks in my students' life. Negative messages that we give ourselves, like, I'm not good at standardized test taking, or I can't relax, I can't focus, I procrastinate. I've got a block about just doing the work. Does that sound familiar to anybody? When you have a block, a paraliminal recording can be designed to deal with that particular problem and literally take the block away, because it's coming not from your conscious brain. Nobody says, I deliberately don't want to do this, or I deliberately want to be anxious, or I deliberately want to be upset. Now, it's all coming from the non-conscious. And so when we use a paraliminal that's targeted and focused on that particular block, with just a few opportunities to listen to the recording, you can remove, reduce, totally eliminate the block from that part of your life. So if there are things that are problematic for you, this is a great way to find that item, whatever it is, listen to the recording that's geared to that, and it's just like, just climbs onto it and just carries it away. I love it. So you can remove blocks. The second reason to use a paraliminal recording is that it enhances learning. You know, there's an incredible amount of material that you have to study for the bar. We've talked about that when we talked about PhotoReading and Mind Maps. And those tools are really remarkably effective at helping you get through all of that material and knowing what to do with it. Very different than memorizing and reciting, or making flashcards or mnemonics, or hyper outlining or underlining, or doing all of the things that traditional study does that just isn't very effective. Instead, what we want to do is enhance the learning. We want you to engage with the material, with the lectures, with the reading, with the question practice. Well, how do you do that? Well, paraliminals can help you enhance your learning by, again, focusing and sharpening your skills. There are particular recordings that are designed to help you with retaining information, with getting into a state where you're receptive to the information, with being able to focus and concentrate on the material that's in front of you. There's a number of different possibilities here that will help you get better at certain skills. And as you get better at those skills, as you get more talented and capable at using those skills, then you enhance the value of everything you're doing, your reading, your studying, your question practice, and so on. So a second purpose of paraliminal recordings, some of the recordings, is to enhance your learning. It's to help you get into the zone in order to learn more effectively than if you were just passively observing or watching the material. And then the third major reason that I would recommend a paraliminal for a bar taker is that they improve your focus. There are a number of different paraliminal recordings that are geared at focus and concentration, that are designed to help you sharpen what you're doing so that you can come in really paying attention to particular information, particular concepts, particular skills, and not be distracted by all the other drama that goes with the bar exam or anything else. You know, a lot of bar takers go through this process where they're trying to study, and it just seems like everyone in the world, from their family and their friends and their boss and politics and the world generally and Mother Nature, I mean, everything conspires to take your focus away from doing the work that you want to do to study. Well, paraliminals are really good for bringing you back into that focus zone so that you can get the work done that you need to get done. And they don't take you a long time to listen, so it's not like you're taking away study time. You're actually making the study time that you do much more productive and much more effective. So if you are studying for the bar and you're suffering from any kind of a mental roadblock, or you're feeling like your learning is not really optimal, you're not really getting the most out of the time you spend studying, or you think, you know, I'm just not focused enough when I'm studying. I'm not getting enough from the material that I read or that I listen to or my question practice, and you should consider paraliminal recordings. They are a very, very powerful way to get at all of those things when you need them and how you need them. See, the great part about paraliminals to me is that they're all these separate recordings. I don't have to listen to 52 recordings to get all of those things. I can target it specifically what I need, go to that recording, that title, pull it off the shelf, if you will, listen to it, and in 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe, a couple of times a week for the first week, and then, you know, maybe once a week after that, I'm good to go. So really, really easy to do that. Well, how do you use paraliminals in a practical sense? And the answer is it's pretty simple. As I said, you download the paraliminal titles, and we'll talk about how you can get those and which ones we would suggest here in a moment. But once you've got the titles, you just download them to your device. I put them on my smartphone, and I've got them in a playlist, and there are separate tracks for each paraliminal. There's even something called a sleep learning track, which is great. This is a really wonderful help you go to sleep and catch you in the brain stage where you're most receptive. And so I've actually got a list that I made up of the sleep learning tracks of my paraliminals, and I just turn that on at night and let it run all night long at a very, very, very low volume because my non-conscious mind can pick it up at that low volume and let it process all night long for me. It's very cool. But generally speaking, the way that I use paraliminals is that I will typically listen to one title when I wake up in the morning. I usually listen to one around midday, usually to just sort of re-energize myself. I typically will listen to one right before I go to bed, again, kind of a reset my day, review the day kind of title. And then I will often use another one if I wake up in the middle of the night, and being an old guy, that tends to happen. If I have any difficulty getting back to sleep, I'll listen to a title in the middle of the night and get back to sleep. So that's how I use the regular paraliminals. Now, I mentioned something called the Paraliminal Resets, and I really love these resets. The normal range of paraliminals is, as I said, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but most of them are 20 to 30 minutes long. But there are 4 other titles that Learning Strategies has come out with in the last year that you can do in a shorter period of time, typically 15 minutes or less. In fact, there's even a structure in the reset that you could do it in as little as 30 seconds. Pretty remarkable. In any event, these resets are designed to deal with calm and abundance and focus, and they're just wonderful titles. And you can listen to them as you would a regular paraliminal, and it'll take you 15 minutes is all to get through it. Or you can do it as an eyes open exercise for 5 minutes, and then you can do it literally with a couple of words. You can bring yourself into that paraliminal state in just a few seconds. And this is perfect for the bar exam. I mean, you don't have 15 minutes before the questions come out. So if you can get yourself in a paraliminal state, in a optimum state to study and focus, with just a few words, it's great. And so we'll talk to you about resets here in a moment as well. All right. Well, I said there are a lot of different titles, and we worked with learning strategies. We've been working with them for a number of years. And a couple of years ago, I sat down with some of their top people and I said, I think that there are some titles that are really appropriate for bar takers, maybe more so than others. Do you think we could curate a package of titles that would work for our students? And so we went through them. It was a lot of fun talking through them, thinking about them, kind of like trading. I'll give you a memory supercharger for letting go, or whatever it is. And we came up with a list of, as it finally turned out, 16 different titles. We put them together and we call them the Bar Prep Paraliminal Pack. And the great thing is, the Learning Strategies gave us a great price for our students for these Paraliminals. I'll share that pricing with you in a moment, but I want to just talk briefly about the titles that are in this Paraliminal pack because I think they're really awesome. The first title in the package is called Anxiety Free. If you're dealing with any kind of anxiety or stress around the bar exam or anything, this Paraliminal will help you deal with that anxiety. It will give you the coping tools and it will reduce the anxiety dramatically. We've seen students who are totally test phobic come into the exams without that fear at all. Anxiety free is an absolute winner. The second title is called Belief. I mentioned earlier that bar takers tend to not believe in themselves. They tend to not believe a lot of things. And having some belief in yourself, having a really strong belief in yourself is really critical to being successful. And so this Paraliminal helps you develop that belief in whatever you choose to believe in, and then shows you how to strengthen it and build on it. So it's a very useful title. The third Paraliminal that we selected was called Conscious Time. There's no doubt that time management is one of the big challenges that bar takers find, and we wanted to find a way to help people get better at managing their time. This Paraliminal, which takes about 20 minutes, is marvelous for helping you figure out what to do with your time so that you're not wasting time, you're not being task avoidant, but you're really getting right into it, and it's a really practical tool. The fourth Paraliminal is probably kind of an all-purpose one in my mind. It's called Deep Relaxation. And this is great if you're having trouble getting to sleep, or maybe you just want to chill out. Maybe you've had a tough day at work and you need a transition point before you start your studies. It's also a good mental softening before you do one of the other Paraliminals. It's one of the few titles that you can kind of put back to back and just kind of, it puts you in a state where you're more receptive. So deep relaxation before you photo read, or before you study material, or before you take a practice test is a really useful title, and I like it a lot. The next one is a really obvious one. It's called Focus and Concentration. It's precisely what it sounds like. It's designed to help you improve your focus and to help you improve your concentration. I really recommend this. If you've been diagnosed as attention deficit disorder, focus and concentration is great, because ADD or ADHD really means not that you are wrong or there's something wrong about you. It means that the way we typically teach, which is teacher-centered instead of learner-centered, just doesn't make any sense to you. Your brain is active, it's engaged, it wants to go find more stuff, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. And so what we want to do is channel that interest and enthusiasm in more productive ways, and that's what focus and concentration does. The next title is called Get Around to It. If you're a procrastinator, Get Around to It will change your world. And I don't care what you're procrastinating about. Maybe it's just procrastinating on how to get started with Paraliminals, or maybe studying for the bar, or any number of other things. Get Around to It will cause you to relatively effortlessly start doing things that you were procrastinating about without consciously thinking about it. I mean, you just find yourself doing them and going, oh, okay, I can do it. Why? Because it takes away the blocks that we've got in our mind that tell us why we don't want to do something. We're afraid of an outcome, or we're afraid to get into it, whatever it might be. You remove that block, you're going to start doing the thing that you need to do. So it's really a practical title as well. The next title is called Letting Go. This actually, it comes from and is narrated not only by Paul, but by a man by the name of Hale Dwoskin. And it uses the Sedona method, which basically is a method of accepting what's in your life, acknowledging it without making judgments about it, and then being willing to let it go. I mean, literally, let it go. And by letting it go, you release yourself of all the negative emotions, all of the negative fears, all of the things that come with it. You know, the harder we hold on to those things, our grudges, our anger, our fear, the tougher it is to function. And so letting go will help you literally let go. The Sedona method's been around for years. It is incredibly powerful. And Hale Dwoskin wrote the best-selling book by that title, and he's on that title as well. The next title is Memory Supercharger. I mentioned that already. And Memory Supercharger just helps consolidate what you've learned. It comes with your photo reading pack. So if you're a photo reader, we'll substitute that title with another title for you called Intuition. We love the Intuition title. It's just what it sounds like. It's using your intuition. It's being aware of that small voice inside you. And it's a great title. So everyone in the Bar Prep Paraliminal pack will get Intuition, and if you're in photo reading, you'll have the Memory Supercharger as well. The next title is called Peak Performance. It's just what it sounds like. It's getting the most out of your work. We know that on the bar exam, you want to have a peak moment. You want to be able to hit your best work for that day or 2 days or 3 days of the exam. And Peak Performance is designed to get you there and keep you there, and I love it. It's a great one. The next title is called Personal Genius. This is really a good all-purpose title for being aware that you have a personal genius brain. A lot of people don't think of themselves as being smart, which is ironic because you're taking a bar exam, which means by definition you are very smart. But we tend to think of ourselves as being less than, or we compare ourselves to other people. Personal Genius will help you put that in perspective and show you what a genius mind you have and how to make better advantage of it. The next title is called Power Thinking, and power thinking is just what it sounds like. It's taking a problem and learning how to power your way through it, how to analyze it, work through it, how to get the most. It's a focus and concentration kind of paraliminal, and it's great when you've got a problem. Maybe you're working on something in the bar and you're really struggling with how to understand that concept. Power thinking is great for helping you identify that, work through it, and then let your genius mind go to town and make it come together for you. The next title is called Recover and Reenergize. It was originally designed for athletes, I think, but I use it, and I'm by no means an athlete, and lots of my students use it and love it as a way to just feel better. As I'm recording, the flu is just hitting all over the country, and I've talked to students who say they use Recover and Reenergize to get over the flu in fewer days. I just had a conversation with a student recovering from the flu. She's using this paraliminal on a daily basis. She said her husband got the flu the same day that she did. She's now recovered from the flu. She only had it for 3 days, which is pretty amazing. He's now, I think, on day 6 or 7, not getting much better. And he's not using the Paraliminals. And she's like, okay, it's up to you, dude. I mean, put on the Paraliminal, it'll help. So Recover and Reenergize is a great way to get your energy back. It doesn't have to be for something as dramatic as the flu or a cold. It's just even on a daily basis when you're just tired and run down, it's a good one to use. The next title is called Self-Discipline. It's just what it sounds like. It's helping you stay disciplined. If you find yourself scattered when you're studying, trying to do too many things, and again, for people who would describe themselves as being attention deficit disordered, this is a great title. It helps kind of give you some guide rails so that your brain will stay on track and on focus and be more productive. So it's a useful recording. The next one, virtually every bar taker I think can use. It's called Sleep Deeply and Wake Refreshed. It's 2 parts. You listen to one before you go to bed, and you listen to one if you wake up during the night for your waking hours. It's great to help you get better quality sleep and to wake refreshed. And I think we all know when we wake refreshed, we have a better day. And so these paraliminal recordings are designed to help you do that. If you find yourself struggling to get to sleep at night because you've been studying and you're wound up, you're going to really love this particular paraliminal. The next one is called 10-Minute Supercharger. It's just what it sounds like. It's a 10-minute recording, so it's shorter than the resets, but a bit longer. Shorter than the resets and shorter than the regular Paraliminals. 10 minutes long, and I don't really know how to explain it. It's like drinking an extra big coffee really fast, but no hangover and no caffeine buzz. You just finish it. I tend to fall asleep while I'm listening, and then it's over, my eyes open, I wake up, and I'm good to go. And I use this one whenever I'm sagging during the day. And man, my students that have this love it, and they swear by it. The last of the titles from the regular Paraliminals is Overcoming Overwhelm. And this one is a great one, I think, for bar takers, because ultimately one of the challenges that we face is that we just do get overwhelmed. There's too much going on in the bar, in the study, maybe with your life, maybe with work. And with all of that, it is very difficult to have the kind of focus that you want when you've got too much input. There's too many things coming at you too many different ways. What Overcoming Overwhelm does is give you the opportunity to sort that out, let your brain kind of work on it and filter it, and not feeling that overwhelm so that you can get your work done, whatever that work might be. I like it a lot. I feel overwhelmed sometimes. I put that on, that feeling goes away really quickly. So that's the Paraliminal package. Now here's the good news. Paraliminals from Learning Strategies normally cost $30 or more. And they're digital recordings. They're permanent, so they're always in your library. They don't go away. You'll have them forever. But what we did is we put these 16 titles together, and we offered them for $295. So that's quite a savings. It's nice to be able to save money on something like this. It's also nice to not have to go down that really long list and try and figure out which ones to use. These are the ones that I've found to be most effective and that our students have found most effective. And so when you order the Paraliminal pack, $295, you get these 16 titles. They're in your library to use immediately and permanently. So I really encourage you to do that. One other note about the Paraliminals is that they're not just the audio recordings. You'll also receive a digital CD or booklet that is how to use that Paraliminal. It's got lots of detail, it's got suggestions, lots of information. And again, you can download that. I've just put it right on my digital device. Open it up as an iBook, and I can flip through that CD or digital CD cover. It's more than a cover, it's actually a booklet, and get additional information and details and some practical tips for using it. So I think that's one of the nice pieces of the Paraliminals as well. Now, I mentioned the Paraliminal Resets, and I want to talk to you about those as well, because some of you might be saying, well, I'm not sure I want all of those titles, and I'm not sure I want to spend all of that time. I certainly understand that, although I think you should consider it. But there is also a set of resets that have several different titles. And again, we worked with Learning Strategies on these. I'm really excited. The titles in the reset package, the first title is called Adventurous, which I think is really good. If you're feeling a little timid about taking the bar, or maybe it's a little bit scary to you, Adventurous is really a great reset to kind of change and give you that Wonder Woman approach that we talk about, fearless going in. The second reset is called Calm. It's sort of the opposite of adventurous. I mean, maybe you're feeling a little too amped up, and it's nice to be calm and focused. What the reset does is get you into that calm state. It would be like focus and concentration, but in a shorter time frame. And then the third one is called Focus. So if you are specifically interested in improving your focus, this reset will do it in a short period of time. It will let you get zeroed right in on whatever it is that you want to work on. The fourth of the titles is called Radiance. This is really a nice title. This is just kind of being chill. I mean, it's just kind of, instead of being angry and upset all the time about everything at everyone, Radiance kind of flips that script on its head. It just makes you a little more relaxed, a little happier. And frankly, I think a happier bar taker is a better bar taker. So I like Radiance. I think it's a good one to use. And then the last one, well, you're going to love it. It's called Success. I mean, if you're trying to be successful on the bar exam, you ought to be thinking success, living success, feeling success, experiencing success, and most importantly, expecting success. And this title does that for you. And literally, they do it for you. You don't have to do very much for these to work. The other cool thing about the resets is that they're done by Paul Sheely, but there's also the same recordings done by Lisa Nichols, who is the award-winning author. You might remember her from the movie The Secret. And I have people who would rather hear a woman's voice doing these than a man's voice. And so Lisa reads the same scripts that Paul reads, and you get your choice, and you can switch back and forth between the two. So it's really a cool package. So the resets come in that grouping. In each reset, there's a 15-minute, 5-minute, and then there's a short 30-second or less approach that you can use. So it's a lot of material. Now, again, we set up a special offer with Learning Strategies, and you can buy that package of resets. I think it was 6 titles for $195. It goes into your permanent library. Again, you can use it however and whenever you want. And we'll put links in the show notes for both the Paraliminal pack and the Reset pack. And I encourage you, to check those out. We also go through the titles in more detail on the order page, so you can get more information if you're interested there. And you'll have immediate access. You can get started right away and start using these titles. So I think that they are great ones to use. Well, to wrap up this discussion of Paraliminals, one other question that I sometimes get is, do I have to be a photo reader in order to take advantage of the Paraliminals? And the answer is no, you don't. Anyone can use them. They're valuable no matter how you're studying and who you're studying with. But I will say that the Paraliminals are more integrated into our course and into our course of study and to our approach to study than they would be in the big box bar review. On the other hand, would it ever hurt you to have more focus and concentration, or to be less stressed, or to feel less overwhelmed, or to feel more of a sense of success? Would it ever be a bad thing to be able to engage your personal genius and to have peak performance? And the answer obviously is no, those are all things that everybody could use. Now, if you are using photo reading and if you're in our course, well, the Paraliminals will enhance all of that. They're all designed to integrate and work together. We talk about them. We offer some training on the Paraliminals as well as photo reading within our course. And our Facebook group, we've got lots of discussions about that. I talk about it in our student webinars that we do every week and in our email messages and video messages. So there's a lot of information that we provide for our students, and particularly for those who are photo readers, because we find that the two products work so nicely together. I suppose I could say if you're debating between the Paraliminal pack and the Resets, which one is best? Well, if you're at all hesitant, the Reset pack is a great starter pack. It's got primary titles, and it's easy to use, and it doesn't take much time. It's a little less of an investment initially, but I can promise you that once you've done the Resets, you're going to really want more. And so you'll probably end up getting the Paraliminal pack as well. And that's been our experience. People start, oftentimes I have people who would go out and buy a title for $30 or $40 from Learning Strategies and go, oh my gosh, I love these, but I don't want to spend $40 a title for 52 titles, which I get. So that's the reason that we generated these particular products. So I hope that you'll like them and take advantage of them. I think to just wrap up our discussion of Paraliminals, what I want to tell you is that this is a tool that can help you do better at the things you're doing already. It can help you read better. It can help you take better notes. It can help you study more effectively. It can help you write better essays. It can help you on the multi-state bar exam. There's no part of the exam that it's not going to improve because it's tailored to the particular needs that you've got and the things that are happening in your life. So I hope you'll check them out and use them. And I know if you do, you're going to enjoy them as much as I do and as much as our students do. I've literally never had a student who said, I don't like these and I don't want to use them. Never happened. So it's a terrific product, and I really encourage you to check it out. Well, that's our message for today. I hope that you check out Paraliminals. I hope you think about them and consider them, and that you add them to your toolkit and to your repertoire. Again, next week we're going to wrap up this 4-part series by looking at meditation, specifically the Holosync audio meditation programs. I think you'll find that really interesting as well. Just a quick reminder that we've got our free webinar, How to Make the Next Bar Exam Your Last Bar Exam, coming up on Thursday, January 15th, and again on Monday, January 22nd, 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you're listening to this or watching this podcast after those dates, just check our website. We do these webinars on a regular basis, and most likely there'll be a webinar coming up, and you can jump into that as well. I hope everybody has a great study week. I hope that things are going well for you. If you're getting ready for the February 2018 exam, hang in there. This is a tough week for many bar takers for that exam. We're about 40 some days until the test, so it's a difficult time. And if you're taking the exam in July 2018 or maybe sometime in 2019 now, this is a great time to get started with your studies and begin to start using some of these tools. Well, thanks everybody. It's been great talking to you and seeing you, and we'll see you again next week along the Extra Mile. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers at www.celebrationbarreview.com.